I saw just a couple hours ago, Real American Freestyle Wrestling announced that they had signed Khamzat Chimaev to a deal. I'm just wondering if you knew about that or if
Who signed him to a deal?
RAF, the wrestling promotion,
Oh, yeah, okay.
signed Chimaev to a deal.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on that and just kind of RAF, what they've done over the past few months. And, they've been putting on a lot of events with UFC talent.
Yeah.
Just what you make of that.
Good for them. Yeah. I hope it works out for them, yeah.
You told me yesterday, Chad, you're going to ask me about something big tomorrow after the event at the press conference. And the announcement came, the video package came. Khamzat Chimaev is now a member of the RAF roster. Can you talk about how you got that done and how big of an impact can he make for RAF, which is already making really big impacts?
Yeah, when Izzy and I are doing matches, we work with Sweep, his manager, and Chimaev just loves wrestling. And they reached out to me and Izzy and wanted to do this. And Eric flew to LA and we shot that package. But, he loves wrestling. He wants to give back to it. And Snyder could be someone that he eventually wrestles here.
And I was just going to ask you, Kyle, because you spoke to one of my colleagues, and at first you were like, nah, I don't really want to wrestle the UFC guys. And then you're like, you know what? Maybe Chimaev would be a really interesting test. So now he's on the roster. I know Chael tried to set you up a little bit, but thoughts on Chimaev being part of the roster, and how real is that you versus Chimaev is the thing that could happen maybe even sometime in 2026?
Yeah, I think give him a couple matches first. He's got to, not that he's got to earn the spot, but just I think for his own benefit, just having a couple wrestling matches underneath of him will be good. And then if he ever wants to compete against me, I'm always ready. So anytime.
With Real American Freestyle, you guys have heard that. Kyle Snyder called out Khamzat Chimaev after his match at Real American Freestyle over the weekend. Chimaev has now responded to the call out, and it's twofold. First off, he accepts it, but before we get to all that, come and spar with me. You're the Olympic champion in wrestling. I'm coming over to wrestling. I get it. Everybody's going to be coming at me. I get it, but come spar with me in MMA. I've been trying to get Olympic gold medalists to spar with me, and they won't do it. You come spar with me and you survive, I'll give you $200,000.
All right, fight fans, let's dive straight into the octagon-sized bombshell that just dropped. Kyle Snyder, an absolute wrestling phenom, called out Khamzat Chimaev, and Boers didn't just respond. He put a staggering $200,000 bounty on his own head. This isn't just about a wrestling match anymore. Chimaev is turning up the heat, challenging an Olympic champion to spar in his domain, MMA. That's a power move, signaling, I'm not just a wrestler, I'm a complete fighter. The sheer audacity of challenging a decorated Olympic gold medalist to survive his MMA spar for that kind of money sets a wild precedent. It immediately makes you question, what exactly does survive entail when Khamzat is involved? This isn't a simple offer. It's a declaration of dominance and a high-stakes psychological game, guaranteeing maximum attention on whatever happens next.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. Like my first thought of this is I'm going to call Snyder and I'm going to get some airplane tickets set up and I'm going to personally take him to work out with Chimaev. But I'm trying to figure out what we have to do to get the 200 grand. Does Kyle just have to do a workout and then survive it? Because Chimaev is known for these he's almost a legend for how hard he works, for his work ethic and how far he will push and how hard he will push in the practice room. Is he doubting that Kyle can just get through the work?
This bounty is absolutely fascinating, and the immediate question echoing through the fight community is, what are the terms and conditions? The commentator here perfectly captures the intrigue. Is Chimaev simply betting that Kyle Snyder, for all his wrestling prowess, can't handle a standard Chimaev-level MMA training session? We all know Khamzat's legendarily intense work ethic. His training rooms are notorious for pushing athletes to their absolute limits. If it's just about physically enduring sprints, grappling rounds, and conditioning drills, can Snyder, an elite athlete himself, simply survive the physical grind? It's a plausible interpretation implying Chimaev believes his regimen is so brutal, even an Olympic champion might crack. This adds another layer to Chimaev's challenge, beyond just technical skill. It's a test of sheer will and physical endurance.
Because I'm here to tell you, Kyle can get through those workouts. Kyle enjoys workouts like that. Or when you say survive, does it mean, hey, we're going to go and spar and I'm going to beat you up? Is it that kind of survive? And it's very compelling either way. I'm telling you, for 200 grand, if it's a good workout, Kyle Snyder will go do it. Kyle would do it just if you invited him for a good workout. But if it's turning into a fight, is that what the 200 grand's about? Because we're going to fight? No, he's not looking to go get into a fight.
But let's be real. Survive in the context of Khamzat Chimaev isn't usually about just completing a workout. This is where the ambiguity gets juicy. Is Chimaev implying actual MMA sparring, where he fully intends to beat you up, as the speaker puts it? Snyder is an Olympic wrestling champion, not an MMA fighter with years of striking and submission defense under his belt. The commentator rightly points out that Snyder isn't looking for a full-blown MMA fight, even for $200,000. This isn't his sport. If Chimaev means full contact, no-holds-barred MMA sparring, it transforms the offer from a test of endurance to a very dangerous proposition. For Snyder, it's a massive risk, potentially compromising his wrestling career or even his health. It truly makes you wonder what Chimaev's true intention is with that ambiguous phrasing.
Chimaev has made it clear to Real American Freestyle he will take on anybody. Chimaev will do the match with Kyle Snyder if that's where you guys get a big push and you want to see. But how does Chimaev defend himself? He comes over to something like RAF. Everybody comes after him. I experienced this from a promoter standpoint. I had John Jones under contract, and I could barely keep up because I was getting so many calls and inundated my inbox, my text messages, my WhatsApp, my social media, my DMs, everybody trying to get the match against John.
The insight here into Chimaev's strategic position is spot on. As a top-tier, undefeated UFC fighter, particularly one as dominant and charismatic as Chimaev, you instantly become a target. The comparison to John Jones is perfect. Everyone wants a piece of the king, not necessarily because they believe they can win, but because of the immense platform, attention, and potential payday it offers. Chimaev signing with Real American Freestyle immediately put a giant target on his back within the wrestling world. By issuing this $200,000 bounty, he's effectively controlling the narrative and turning the tables. Instead of just accepting challenges, he's setting the terms, dictating the arena, and adding a financial incentive that makes it impossible for top names to ignore. It's a brilliant, if calculated, defense against being inundated by calls, asserting his dominance even outside the cage.
And of all the people that contacted me, I'll share with you, I'll keep his name privately. I only believed one guy. I believe one guy that asked for that match that he thought he could beat John. I don't believe any of the other guys thought they could beat John. They just knew it would be acceptable, it'd be a main event, it would be a big payday, like it was these kinds of things around John. So you put Chimaev in this really peculiar position. Like, he got asked if he wants to wrestle, he said yes. Now this is the best of the best. This is the only wrestling that is on television, for goodness. I mean, this is the best of the best.
This highlights the dual motivation behind these high-profile callouts. As the commentator explains with the John Jones anecdote, most challengers aren't genuinely convinced they can beat the best. They're chasing the main event status, the big payday, and the massive exposure. Chimaev, by stepping into the elite wrestling circuit like Real American Freestyle, is placing himself in a similar peculiar position. He's now in an environment where even a perceived moral victory against him could be career-defining for a pure wrestler. It's not just about winning. It's about sharing a stage with a global superstar and leveraging his immense marketability. This is the top level of wrestling, on TV with Olympic champions, making any challenge, successful or not, a huge deal for the challenger's brand and bank account.
3 and 4 Olympic champions on each event. UFC, #1 contenders, legend. It's the best of the best. Like, Chimaev is not going to get an easy day here, but now he's also got to deal with everybody calling him out, and how's he supposed to respond, right? Like, yeah, there's probably more people are going to challenge him in wrestling that will challenge him in MMA. The guys in MMA don't mean it. They don't want him. There's one guy that wants to fight Chimaev. That happens to be Sean Strickland, who's about to fight Chimaev. Nobody else wants to fight him. But wrestling's a little bit of a different deal.
The contrast between MMA and wrestling callouts is particularly telling. In MMA, very few fighters genuinely line up to face Chimaev, a testament to his intimidating, undefeated streak. Sean Strickland might be an outlier, but generally contenders shy away from such a dominant force. However, in wrestling, it's a different beast entirely. It's an unknown territory for Chimaev, presenting a unique opportunity for wrestlers. They see a massive target, a UFC champion in their world, and recognize the huge attention, focus, and potential for a moral victory, even in a loss. This bounty amplifies that significantly, giving pure wrestlers a clear, financially rewarding path to test themselves against a global combat sports icon without necessarily being fully equipped for an MMA fight. Chimaev's challenge in MMA sparring is his way of reminding them where his true power lies.
It's an unknown. It's a whole bunch of attention. It's a big focus. It's Dana White's champion. The guy's completely undefeated. Like, there's a few times in life, and it's very rare, particularly in sport, that you can win by losing. But there is times where you can just keep something close and get this moral victory. And when you're taking on the sitting world champion who's completely undefeated, that might be one of those times. But it was very fascinating by Chimaev. He put a dollar amount on it, 200 grand. 200 grand's a very weird number. It's a real number, it's a big number, but it's a weird number.
This concept of winning by losing is absolutely critical in understanding the dynamics of this challenge. For an Olympic champion wrestler facing Chimaev in a wrestling-adjacent context, merely keeping the contest close against an undefeated, high-profile UFC champion like Boers can be a huge moral victory. It raises their profile, validates their skill against a broader combat sports audience, and generates massive buzz. Adding a $200,000 price tag to that survival makes it irresistible. The commentator notes it's a weird number, but it's a very real, very significant sum that immediately signals seriousness. It's enough to grab attention, change lives, and make any elite wrestler seriously consider the risk-reward, even if they aren't fully confident of outright winning. Chimaev knows exactly what he's doing by putting that number out there.
And you got to survive. I'm curious what survive means. I'm not into the idea that Snyder goes out there who's never sparred before and now he's fighting the guy that's never lost at it before. But if it's just a workout situation and we just want to get through the workout and see if we can push harder than he can, I'll get Kyle on a plane tonight. So what's exactly he got to do to get that money? That's what I'm asking. When you say survive, what exactly does that mean?
The ambiguity of survive is the golden thread running through this entire scenario, and it leaves us on a cliffhanger. If it's merely enduring a brutal workout, Kyle Snyder is likely to jump on that plane tonight. He's built for athletic punishment and competitive intensity. But if survive implies a genuine MMA spar against an undefeated, ruthless force like Chimaev, a man known for his willingness to beat you up, then that's a whole different ballgame for a pure wrestler who's never trained MMA. The speaker's concern is entirely valid. An Olympic wrestler has different tools than an MMA fighter. Until Chimaev clarifies precisely what survive means, this $200,000 bounty remains one of the most intriguing and potentially dangerous propositions in combat sports today. We need details, Boers.